The first time I ever played a gig and walked out with cash in my hand, I was a 16-year-old punk kid. A buddy of mine was, and still is, a fantastic blues guitarist, and we landed a weekly gig in a local coffee shop. We played for dinner and tips. It wasn't super lucrative, but we thought it was a lot better than flipping burgers. Since that time, I've played well over 1,000 paying gigs, including everything from that coffee shop to recording studios, stadiums and arenas, summer festivals, weddings, everything you can think of. Oh, and I've played exactly one bar gig. If you want to stick around to the end of the video, I'll tell you that story. It'll be good therapy for me. So here we go. This is the first video in a series that's going to teach you everything you need to know about how to get that first paying gig and then keep playing paying gigs. I have some absolutely killer guests lined up that have decades of experience playing as musicians and playing with musicians. And they're going to share with you their wisdom and advice that you can put to use immediately to start playing. So let's get right into it. I work with a lot of young players, primarily high school and college age students. And by far, the most frequent non-musical question I get is, how do I start getting paid to play? Or in other words, how do I become a professional musician? So for just a few minutes, I want to talk about why you might want to get paid to play and maybe why you might not want to get paid to play. If you're really clear up front about what you're trying to get out of your music experience, it can help save you a lot of hassle and frustration and help you to pursue the right opportunities for you. Okay, the most obvious reason you might want to play professionally is to get paid. Personally, I love this reason. I think it's awesome to get paid to play your instrument. So, setting aside the money part for just a second, let's talk about a few other reasons why you might want to play professionally. Candidly, some people are in it for the recognition. Whether it's global or local, it can feel great to get hired and get hired a lot. And that feeling can motivate you to work even harder and become even better at your craft. On that note, and another reason, is that there is truly no better school for becoming a great musician than to go out and play gigs. You're in front of an audience, and there are really high standards if you want to keep that gig. Playing a lot, especially if you are practicing and you're strategic about it, can help you to get better so much faster than just practicing by itself. Playing in real gigs with real musicians in front of a real audience is a multiplier to whatever else you're doing behind the scenes. Imagine you were a basketball player and you're only ever working out in a gym by yourself. That's useful, but you will get a lot better faster when you start playing in real games against other players. Another reason a lot of musicians like to play professionally is it's literally their social scene. Part of the reason for that is that on any given gig, yes, you're going to play music, but there's also a lot of other time, sound check, loading in, loading out, maybe travel to and from, meals, drinks, downtime. There's a lot of time to develop relationships and become friendly with the people that you play with. And that can be really, really rewarding. Over the years, I've developed really close friendships with a lot of people that I've gigged with. In fact, some of those are the people that I'm going to draw on for this video series. While there are a lot more reasons that we might list for wanting to play professionally, I'm going to list one more, and I don't know how to say it exactly, but if you know, you know. And that is, I play for my mental health. I absolutely love how it feels to make music with great musicians. It's even better when you've got a great audience and they're responding to your music and you're creating this unique, unforgettable moment together. One of the bands I play with right now has been together for about 15 months or so. And in that time, we've played maybe 20 gigs and gotten paid once. Honestly, the music is incredible. It's a super high level. They're really, really good humans. And our audience has primarily been our local group of students and music educators, so it really hasn't mattered to us if there's money on the table or not. We just want to play. Again, if you know, you know, but music is life. Hopefully I've made a compelling case for why you should go out and play professionally. But there is one caveat. When I was getting my college degree, I was playing out quite a lot, started to get some decent gigs. I was teaching a bunch of private students. And at the same time, I was working at a local music store. And I got to the point where I was making enough money teaching and playing that I could cover all my basic expenses. And I was talking to an older musician in the area about how I was considering quitting the music store job because I could sustain myself without it. And he just simply said, "Man, be careful, because when you have to pay to play the rent, you're going to start to resent it." I didn't really know what he was talking about at the time. I mean, I could get it mentally, but emotionally, it was a few years later when I was depending almost solely on playing gigs and teaching students that it changed and it became a little bit of a chore. And you started to view gigging and teaching differently when all those dollar bills were attached. And sometimes it meant the difference between eating that week and not. Luckily for me, it never got to the point where I just didn't want to play anymore. But I have met quite a lot of musicians that after a few years, they almost just don't want to show up on the gig because it's just a job and it's just about the dollar bills. Just like almost anything else in the world, it can be really hard not to assign value to a gig or a musical situation just based on how much money is attached to it. So I want to be really clear. If you're making any of your income at all playing music, you're winning. Even if it is not your full-time gig and it's not all the time, generating any money by playing music is an accomplishment and you should congratulate yourself. But if you were my student, I'd give you this strong advice. Put the music first. Once you start getting paid to play, you will permanently and fundamentally change your relationship with music. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it will happen. So I just want to say, sometimes there are gigs you absolutely should play, even if you don't get paid at all, even if it costs you some money. And there are also gigs you should not play, no matter how much money is involved. If you're already a pro musician and you've been gigging out, you know exactly what I'm talking about. In fact, I'd love to know what your best or maybe your worst stories are, so drop them in the comments. As I said at the beginning of the video, if you are clear about your motivations, you will avoid a lot of hassle, a lot of heartache, and you'll find the best opportunities for you to move forward as you pursue your career in music. All right, over the next few weeks, get ready for some serious knowledge bombs from me and my friends as we teach you how to get and keep playing gigs. Please do hit those like and subscribe buttons, and I'll see you soon. All right, thanks for sticking around. If you've made it this far, I promised you a story, and a story you will get. So I was probably maybe a junior in my undergrad program, and I was playing with this jazz quartet. We did a ton of weddings, we did frat houses, we did university parties, things like that. But in our town, there just weren't very many bars, and a bar gig just wasn't a thing that we did at that time. But we lived about 90 minutes away from a pretty major city, and we got lined up with this bar gig. So we drove down there, and if you've ever watched any movie that has a bar scene, you already know exactly what this looked like. You know, you open the door and there's the smoky haze, you can smell the alcohol, pool table, dim lights, and in the corner there's this tiny little stage, and you know, we crammed into the stage. So we got through the first set and everything was fine. We started into the second set. The bartender, super nice guy, but he was a huge man. I mean, we're talking NFL offensive lineman. It's just a huge, huge dude. It became pretty clear that he was agitated. And there was a woman that kept coming in and out and talking to him, and they were, you know, I couldn't hear what they were saying, but they appeared to be arguing or whatever. At a certain point, she came in, things got heated. She turned around and left, and the bartender, clear for everyone in the bar to say, he was like, "Don't leave me this way." And she was already out the door, and this man, he vaults the bar, just jumps over the bar, and he goes after the woman. And we're like, oh, okay, his girlfriend or his wife just broke up with him or whatever. And we're like, it's, you know, truly, we're in a movie right now. And again, if you've seen that movie with a bar scene, you already know what happened next because it was instant chaos. I mean, a fight broke out. People were jumping over the bar to get free booze. It was just chaos and madness. And us, you know, 4 college guys were looking around like, what in the world is going on right now? And we kept playing, which I don't know if that was the smartest thing in the world to do, but we kept playing. And out of the middle of the smoke and the gloom and the chaos, this guy comes walking toward us, and he's got his beer in his hands, and, you know, things are flying around him. And he walks right up to us and he goes, "You guys are awesome. And nobody here appreciates what's going on right now, man. But you guys are awesome. You're so good, and you shouldn't even be here because nobody here appreciates you like I do. But man, you guys are so great." And we were kind of like, "Yeah, thanks, man. That's great to hear." But it was only getting worse, and so we decided we were done. You know, we stopped playing. We just tried to keep to ourselves and just started packing up all our gear. Well, not too many minutes later, the bartender came back in. And as mentioned, this guy was the size of a house. And so pretty quickly, he put things back in order. You know, he broke up the fight, was kicking people out, you know, all the things. And it got down to, you know, it was calm again and people were leaving or hanging out or whatever. And as he came over to us, he just apologized. He's like, I'm so sorry, you guys. This has been a rough night, and let me cash you out, Our deal that night was a cut of the earnings at the bar or whatever, and I can't even remember what the percentage was. But anyway, 4 of us, 90-mile drive, 2 vehicles, and we made $50, $12.50 a piece. And so I was with the guitar player, and what we did is we went to the gas station, and we each put, $6 or $7 in the gas tank so we could get back. And then we went to like McDonald's, the dollar menu drive through, and we got a burger and some fries. And that was the money that we made that night. Drove home. And what's funny is that gig absolutely was not worth the money that we made, but it was 100% worth the experience. And it's been a great story to tell. But as you go out and play gigs, I hope you collect some great stories, and I also hope you stay safe out there. So once again, if you've watched this far, click like, click subscribe, and drop me a story or some kind of comment. I'd love to hear what's gone on crazy in your life as you've played gigs. So catch you on the next one. On that note, oh gosh. Okay, I just realized that's a terrible music pun.